All right. Should I just start this? All right. I'm gonna just start this.
Do it.
Hi guys, welcome. We're gonna just wait until 6 to start, so just hang out. It'll be a little while, but glad you're here. Hi, Lillian. Welcome. You are muted. Again, guys, thanks for joining us. We will start at 6, so just feel free to hang out with us for a minute. But we're excited that you're here. All right, for those of you who are still jumping on, welcome. We're gonna get started at 6, so just feel free to hang out with us for a little while, but we're really excited you're here.
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Hi, Seth. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Long time no see.
It has been. It has been a minute.
Yeah, is life treating you okay?
Yeah, yep. I'm super excited to be here, so it'll be good. How have you been?
Oh, just getting along with the ebb and flow of things, doing well.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, I figure we'll go ahead and get started at 6 since that's the time that everybody has on their schedule. So we'll just kind of hang out. We've already got a bunch of people who've joined us. So we'll just wait for more people to jump on.
So Maylee, if I understand correctly, they'll ask questions and then I'll just be speaking to the answers if it pertains to housing, okay?
Yes. Yep. So at the bottom of your Zoom screen, do you see where it has a Q&A kind of section? Do you see that?
Yes, okay, I just opened it.
Yes. So students will be able to ask questions in there. And when it's 6, I'll explain kind of how it works to all of our participants. So they can go ahead and type all their questions and stuff in there. And then we'll also be using the chat to put links and stuff. I'll have a bunch of members from my team that will put like the housing link, and any students who ask questions and stuff, we can throw information in there. That way everybody has access to it. But yeah, it should be pretty straightforward, but we'll figure it out as we go too if there's any hiccups.
Okay, sounds good.
To everyone who's joined us so far, we're so glad you're here. We're going to start at 6. So just hang out. We'll start in about 10 minutes, but we're super excited you're with us. All right, looks like we've had a bunch more people jump on. we're going to go ahead and get started at 6. So just hang on, but we're excited that you're here. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. We'll get started at 6, so feel free to just hang out for a minute. We're super stoked to have this little Q&A session, but just hang out for a minute. We'll get started in about 7 minutes. All right, to everyone jumping on, we're gonna start in about 5 minutes. So just hang out, but we're really glad that you're here. We're excited. This is gonna be a lot of good information. So yeah, so everyone is muted. How this works is there's a Q&A, so you guys can type your questions, and then we're gonna kind of go through and just answer them and type up our answers. Seth, the director of housing, will go through and kind of read your answers and just verbally answer them too. I have some other members of my admissions team who will be using the chat to send links to things, that way everybody has access to them. But yeah, so there's no faces and no talking, just kind of makes it easier for everyone to not have all the audio and stuff. But sound good? But for everyone who's jumping on, we're excited that you're here. We're going to get started at 6. So in about 4 to 5 minutes. So just hang out, but super excited that you guys are all here. All right, hi guys. Looks like we've got a lot of people jumping on here now. We are gonna get ahead and get started at 6, so just feel free to hang out. Yep, we'll be starting in about 3 minutes. All right, hi guys, welcome. We're gonna go ahead and get started in a couple of minutes. The way that this works is it's kind of no talking, no faces, but we do have the Q&A. So you guys can go ahead, type up your questions in the Q&A or the chat, and we will do our best to answer them there. Seth, our director of housing, will be going through and verbally answering some of them. But I also have a lot of my team for the admissions department who will go through and we'll be trying to answer some of them as well. So ask as many questions as you like, but we're going to go ahead and get started in about 2 minutes. All right. Super excited that you guys are all here though. This is going to be a lot of fun. Also, if everybody who's joining the chat, if you could look and see what your name is as you're joining, and if you could make sure that your name is your first and last name, that would be great. So we can just make sure that we know who you are and can get you information if you have more questions. It just makes it a little bit easier for our team than just trying to guess who everyone is. So just go ahead and add your first or last name. That would help us a lot. There's a lot of people who have the same first names. So yes, but we're excited that you're all here. We're going to go ahead and get started in a minute or two. Just letting more people join on, but it's going to be good. All right, welcome everyone. We are going to go talking, my goodness. We are going to go ahead and get started soon. Seth, would you like to start now or do you want to wait another minute for people to jump on? It looks like we still have a decent amount of people hopping on right now.
Maybe I'll defer to you, whatever you prefer.
All right, maybe we'll start at 6:01, just so that way everyone who's last minute trying to make sure their Zoom is updated can hear everything. But we're excited that everyone's here. I'll kind of explain this again. So the way that this works is it's no names, no faces, really. I mean, not no names. Oh my goodness. No faces, no talking. So we have a Q&A session where you guys can type any questions you have. We're going to go ahead and we're going to be answering them. So we'll have me and some of my other team members in admissions typing answers. Seth can go ahead and answer some of them verbally. Depending on the question, Seth, you can definitely tag me in. I used to live in student housing. On campus and off campus. I was an RA, so I was a housing manager kind of for a minute. So some questions I might be able to answer, but Seth is the real expert since he's the director. But all right. Looks like we've had about 15 to 20 more people jump on since I've been talking in the last minute. So I think we can probably go ahead and get started. But I'll introduce myself and then do you want to introduce yourself, Seth, and we can kind of jump into it? Okay, well, my name is Maylee. I am one of the admissions counselors at Utah Tech. I was a student here. I stayed here for 4 years. I studied biomedical biology. I've worked in a lot of different areas of campus, one of them being housing. I used to be an RA, so that's a residence assistant. I've lived on campus, I've lived off campus, but I'm one of the recruiters in the northern area, so some of you might have seen me around your schools, but the way that this works is everyone's just going to put all their questions into the Q&A or the chat, and we're going to go ahead and answer them. But I'm going to let Seth introduce himself.
Thank you, Maylee. Appreciate the invitation tonight. And it was wonderful to have you on staff a few years ago as an RA. So it's fun to connect with you here. I'm Seth Gubler. I'm the Director of Housing and Resident Life at Utah Tech University. I actually went to school years and years ago here when we were a state college. And I was also a resident assistant as an undergrad. I never thought I'd come back and work in student housing full time, but that's how things have worked out. And it's been a great experience. When I first arrived here, we had a couple hundred beds on campus, not that many. And now we've constructed two new facilities. We've purchased some other off-campus apartments as well. And we're now under construction for phase 3 of our student campus view suites residence hall as well. So there's been a lot of excitement happening on campus, especially in on-campus housing. So glad to be here tonight. Please give us the questions you need answers to, and we'll be happy to provide that information to you. So Maylee, from here, do you give a prompt to let them know to type in questions, or is there
Yes.
any?
So
Okay.
you guys can feel free to jump in, ask any questions. Maybe to start us off, Seth, do you want to go over kind of the housing website and just show where some of the important aspects are?
Sure. So our website is housing.utahtech.edu. And at the very top, there's some red ribbons, and one says apply now. If you're interested in applying for on-campus housing and haven't done so, that's the button you want to click on. You do need to have your student number and student number and password before you can sign in. Once you've been fully admitted to Utah Tech, you'll have that information and you should be able to get in without a hitch. Looks like we have a question, so I'll take a pause. It says, I've already applied and paid for housing. How should I be getting more info regarding confirmation? As of now, if you've applied for on-campus housing, we will be able to provide a bed space to you, but we haven't done room assignments yet. Those room assignments will happen anywhere over the next 2 weeks to the next 2 months, depending on how quickly we receive applications. So watch your email closely. A week before we do room assignments, we will notify you so that if you want to spend some more time creating a roommate group or searching for roommates, you can do that. So we'll notify you a week in advance. I can't give you a firm date because it just depends on how quickly those applications come in. But if you've applied as of today, you will be able to get a bed space in on-campus housing. We just won't be able to tell you which one yet until we complete that room assignment process. So the next question, do you know when we will know our housing status? I think I answered that with my previous comment. If you need more clarification, please send a follow-up question. Next, is there a difference between Campus View 1 and Campus View 2? There is. The layout is very similar, but the furnishings are different. The private rooms in Campus View 2 have a full-size extra long bed, where in Campus View 1, they are twin-size extra long. Also in the shared rooms at Campus View 2, the beds are lofted. Your desk and dresser drawers are underneath the bed, and there's a ladder chest that you climb to get up. The ladder chest provides more storage and also seating capacity. So the furniture is a little bit different. The community spaces, the game rooms and kitchen areas on each floor might be configured a little bit differently, but the amenities are basically the same. The main difference is the type of furniture that's in the apartment. How can I modify my housing application to change my housing preferences? I haven't submitted anything yet, but I can't change them. Send us an email, housing@utahtech.edu, and we can change those preferences. Just let us know which preferences you want changed and what order you want them in, and we can do that for you. Are there housing scholarships, plans, or resources offering assistance for on-campus housing? There's not different scholarship opportunities through our department. Any scholarships that would be applicable to on-campus housing would be available through the scholarships and financial aid office. So whatever financial aid you get through that package can be applied to housing, but there's no specific scholarship that comes from our department. Some students will, after completing their first year, apply to be a resident assistant. And if they get hired, they do get a rent-free private room. That's not a scholarship, it's more of a job opportunity, but that's available your second year once you've been able to spend a year on campus first. Okay, what is the difference between Campus View Suite 1 and Campus View Suite 2? I answered that a minute ago. If you weren't on at that time, please add the question again at the bottom and I'll answer that again in a minute. The deadline for applying for housing, you can apply at any time. We accept applications year round. The question is, do we have openings when you apply? As of now, we still have openings. If you apply after March, it's possible that all of our spaces will be filled by then. However, still apply because we create a wait list, and we are still taking people off the wait list in the months of May, June, or July to fill bed spaces that become empty as people cancel. There are some students that initially plan to come here, and then in that early summer timeframe, their plans change, and so we will have openings. So yes, we still have openings now. Please apply. Later, it's possible we might create a wait list if we fill up here in late spring, but we still move a lot of people off our wait list as we go into the summertime. What does a normal dorm look like? Our dorms look like apartments, essentially. You walk in, there's a living room and a kitchen area. There are bathrooms and bedrooms that people share. So think of a smaller apartment with several bedrooms, multiple bathrooms. We furnish it with couches, desks, appliances, most mattresses and desk chairs. So most everything you need, just not your personal items. Do freshmen need to live on campus? They're not required, but I would recommend that you live on campus. The reason being, you're going to be closer to your classes, so it will be more convenient to get up in the morning and make it to class. You have a little bit more attention. We have live-in staff that reach out to you, try to get to know you. They connect you to opportunities to get involved, campus events, maybe resources that can help you be more successful. And there's a lot of events and activities going on. And so the closer you are to the action, the more likely it pulls you in and you get connected more closely with the university. So I would strongly recommend it. Of course, I'm biased, I work here, but I do believe in the program that we offer, but it's not a requirement. Okay, when do we need to, let's see, modify housing application? We've answered that. When do we need to make payment for housing? So rent is due the first day of classes for the semester. Rent is one payment for the whole semester. It covers all utilities, cable, and internet. If you can't make that payment in one lump sum, like we require, you can sign up for a payment plan, which will break it up into 4 different payments over the course of the semester. So it's due the first day of classes in full, unless you sign up for a payment plan, which will break it up to a monthly payment. What if the initial roommate pairing does not work for some reason? We can, one, go in and try to understand what's not working and try to do roommate mediation or roommate agreement if it's just more a difference in lifestyle or expectations or maybe behavior that you're concerned about. We'd like to try to work through a process of communication and rectification if possible. But if you would like to change rooms, we allow room changes to happen. Contact us, we'll let you know what rooms are available. Or if you meet someone and the two of you would like to switch, the two of you just contact us and let us know that you prefer to be in their apartment and they prefer to be in yours. And as long as it's coordinated with our office, we allow for that to happen. Is placement first come, first serve for room choice? Yes, it is to an extent. There are some rooms that we have to reserve for certain departments or organizations that are living on campus, but in general, the general rule and the majority of the time, it is a first come, first serve basis for a room choice. If you apply, one other thing to keep in mind is your roommate group. If you've applied to live in a shared room at Abbey Apartments, and then you've joined a roommate group and all those others have applied for a shared room at Campus View, you might end up at Campus View because the majority of your roommate group has applied for a different building. So be conscientious of your roommate groups if you've selected a roommate group and what rooms they've applied for. So just message between that group and find out what their room preferences are. So hopefully you can all match up. If you've already applied for on-campus housing, is there any way you can get more insight on who you might be rooming with that might have the same moral standards, etc.? What you should do is go on to the roommate group section of your application. And from there, the program is going to recommend certain roommates, or you can search for certain roommates. And during that process, you can message back and forth. That provides opportunity to find out what their college experience looks like for them, what they're wanting to do and as they come to Utah Tech and what you want to do. And as you interact with one another, you can find out if you are compatible, and then you create a roommate group. That's the best and easiest way to find out if there's compatibility there. So please go to the roommate group page. search and message roommates, get to know them better, and then create a roommate group. That's my recommendation. Do you have an estimate of cost? Yes. It really depends on where you're staying. Let me see. I have too many spreadsheets here. I was going to see if there's one here quickly. So for on-campus housing, the average semester cost for a private room, and this is an average, is $2,470 a semester. If you break that down to a monthly payment, that's $617 a month. The average price for a shared room is $1,900 a semester. If you break that down to a monthly price, that's $475 a month. And again, please keep in mind that includes utilities, cable, and internet. So you're not paying extra fees. It also includes your use of the laundry facilities on each floor. You don't have to pay to use the washers or dryer, so everything's included. The one thing that's not included, I should mention, is a parking permit. You would need to purchase a parking permit through parking services. It's not a fee that our department requires, but because you'd be parking on campus, you would need to get a permit if you're bringing a car with you. How can, by what date do we have to confirm our roommate's room preference? Will we be notified that we got put into a room with the people we are in a group with on the housing website? So a week before room assignments, we will notify you that room assignments will be coming within the next 7 days. So that gives you basically a warning to try to wrap that up quickly. Once we complete room assignments, we'll send you an email explaining how to find out your roommates that you've been paired with. Essentially, you'll sign back into the application, and on the application status page, it will list each roommate that you have. Right now, you don't see that because the roommates haven't been paired yet, but when they do, you'll go to the application status page, and that will show you your roommates. Are there any on or off campus housing alternatives where there is a kitchen available to store and cook your own food and not have to sign up for a meal plan? Meal plans are not required for on-campus housing. So you could live anywhere on campus and not have a meal plan, and you would still be able to store, prepare, and cook food in all of our locations. Off-campus housing does not require meal plans either. And from my understanding, all off-campus locations also have the ability to store, prepare, and cook food as well. One thing I'll say about meal plans, though, they do come in handy if you'd like to customize a small meal plan amount. The dining services department will take meal plans as low as $50. So let's say you know you're going to eat on campus several times a semester. You could go to dining services and tell them, I would like a $100 meal plan. The benefit to that is when you use your meal plan, you're not charged sales tax. So if you know you're going to eat on campus several times, maybe create a small meal plan through dining services, an amount that you're comfortable with. And that way, when you purchase food, you save the sales tax. And if you don't use all the money by the end of the semester, it rolls over to the next semester. You can keep using it. It doesn't go away, even from year to year. So in May, if you had $50 left over, when you come back in August, the following semester, your $50 will still be there to use. When it comes to private rooms for Campus U Suites 1 and Campus U Suites 2, what is the difference with, say, a 2-bedroom suite and a 5-bedroom suite? So in Campus U Suites 1, all the suites have 4 bedrooms. 2 of the bedrooms are private rooms. 2 of the bedrooms are shared rooms, meaning there's a total of 6 people in the apartment. In Campus U Suites 2, there's one apartment that has 2 bedrooms. One is a private room, one is a shared room. That means there's only 3 people in that apartment. So the difference is a 2-bedroom apartment has 3 people in the entire apartment. It is a smaller apartment. And then an apartment that has 5 bedrooms, there's going to be 6 people in there. 4 of those bedrooms will be private rooms. 1 bedroom is going to be a shared or a semi-private. That's 2 people. So I hope that answers that for you. If not, please submit another question. Should I apply for housing even if I've not fully decided to go to Utah Tech? That depends. So what's at stake is $300. If you apply for on-campus housing and then you cancel, and we offer you a bed space, you'd be out $300. If you don't apply and wait a little bit longer, I still think you'd be able to find housing if you don't mind being patient, because through the early summer months, we're still offering housing to people, and there's still privately owned options as well. So If you don't mind risking $300, apply for on campus now. If you think you'd like to wait because that's too much of a risk, I'd wait a little bit and at least by late spring, early summer, apply at that point if you do think it's a strong possibility you'd like to come on campus. Is there a benefit to find roommates through the portal, or does that limit my son's ability to get a preferred room choice, specifically a private room? If your student's private room option is a private room at Abbey Apartments, I think doing a roommate group could limit the possibility of him getting that specific room choice. If your student is looking for a private room at Campus View Suites 1 or 2, I don't think creating a roommate group would limit your student's options, as long as the rest of the people in the roommate group are also looking for a room in Campus View 1 or 2 as well. The process is not perfect, but it usually works out fairly well. Please call our office and maybe talk to our room assignment coordinators directly, just if you want more details on how that works. What appliances are allowed in Campus View Suites 1 and 2 dormitories? If you go to our handbook on the website, page 4, it lists what's allowed and what's not allowed. Quickly from memory, the things that are allowed are toasters, but not toaster ovens, air fryers, crock pots, if they have an automatic shut-off timer, and rice cookers, as long as they are not a pressure cooker. So an original or traditional rice cooker, a Keurig-style coffee maker, and blenders are okay. A microwave is okay, but we provide microwaves in all of our locations, in all of our apartments. So I don't think bringing one's necessary, but they are allowed. Pressure cookers aren't allowed, and grills, hot plates, those are not allowed. It's best if you go to our handbook on page 4. And please ask any follow-up questions on the panel if you need to. If you want to share a dorm with a friend, how do you request to be paired together? So you and your friend need to apply to on-campus housing, and then both of you go to the roommate group page. One of you needs to create a roommate group and tell the other one what the name of the roommate group is, and then you add yourself to the roommate group, or the one who didn't create it needs to add themselves to the roommate group, and that's how you get paired together. Make sure that you apply for the same rooms. It makes it easier in the process for the algorithm to make sure that you end up in the same apartment that both of you prefer. What appliances are not allowed in the rooms or suites? I think I answered that. Hot plates, panini presses, grills, pressure cookers, and the appliances that are approved and not approved, it's determined by our fire marshal. It's not something that I determine arbitrarily. Our fire marshal each year tells us what we can have and not have, but go to page 4 on the handbook. The handbook can be found on our website, housing.utahtech.edu. What is the move-in date for spring semester? The move-in date for spring semester is the Friday and Saturday prior to spring semester classes. So for this year, it was like January 5th or 6th. I haven't looked at the dates for next year, but it'll be the Thursday and Friday before classes that start in January. What is the policy on family and friends staying? So we allow overnight guests as long as they are 18 years of age or older, and an overnight guest form needs to be filled out. Your student can go to the front desk in Campus View Suites 1 or 2, get an overnight form, have their roommate sign it, bring it back, and then their guests can stay up to 3 consecutive nights, but no more than 6 total nights over the semester. So that means if one person were to come, they could stay up to 3 nights in a row once, and up to 3 more nights throughout the rest of the semester, but no more than 6 nights total. Do we pay first even though we haven't applied for a student loan? If you're talking about the application fee and deposit, which is $300, that needs to be paid first as you apply. But if you're talking about rent is due the first day of classes. You'd want to apply for your loan before then. If you can't pay the first day of classes, we will reach out to you. And that week, you would need to make sure that you have applied for a loan and it's coming. But I'd recommend doing it beforehand. Check-in will be the week before classes start. And so once you move in, you'll have a week to go to financial aid and work out your loan if you'd like to, so that it's ready to go by the time rent is due on Monday. If your loan hasn't come in by then, but the financial aid office does verify with us that you have loan money coming, we are willing to extend the deadline as long as they can verify that you have everything lined up and that loan is going to come through. Are the suite floors all one gender or are they mixed? Typically, they're all one gender. Once in a while, we have these living learning communities where there might be more applicants for one gender than another. So we might put one apartment on a floor as a different gender than what the rest of the floor is. But generally speaking, they are all one gender. But once in a while, depending on the year, there might be a little bit of a change to one or two apartments on a floor. When will housing assignments come out? For our female applicants, it could happen possibly as soon as 2 weeks, depending on how quickly the applications come in. For our male applicants, we're still a ways out. We're still at least 2 months out before we do room assignments there. Watch your email closely. We will email you a week beforehand, but female applicants probably in 2 weeks, but we will notify you at least a week out. And then our male applicants, I would say at least 2 months, but it could change depending on how quickly our applications come in. If I apply for on-campus housing and then change my mind, will I get my deposit back? Unfortunately not. It's a security deposit. We do refund it for those that complete the license agreement term with us. When they move out, then we do refund the deposit, assuming that there's no pending charges, cleaning, or damage fees. But it's not refunded for cancellations where it's a security deposit. Good question. What appliances are allowed in Campus View dorms and what is already provided? I think I answered that after this question's been typed out, but if I haven't, please put that back in at the bottom of the chat. How much is sales tax? I'm guessing that's in relation to the meal plan question. I don't know how much sales tax is. I wish I could tell you. I think it's like 6.25%, but I'm not entirely sure. When you sign up for housing, can you select that you would like a private room? Yes, Emily, you can. Right now, if you apply, it will be very difficult to get a private room at Chancellor or Abbey. I think it's still very possible at CV2. It's definitely possible at CV1, and the University Inn still has private rooms there as well. We'll be visiting in a few weeks. Could we tour or visit on-campus housing? Yes, just tell your ambassador you'd like to be brought over to on-campus housing. We'd be glad to show you around. Which apartments had 4 bedrooms, 2 shared, 2 private? What was it called again? Campus View Suites 1 has 4 bedrooms, 2 being private, 2 being shared. And Campus View 2 also has 4 bedrooms in many of the suites. Some of them have 5, some have 6. The total head count doesn't change in the apartment, just the room type. So a 6-bedroom apartment at Campus View 2 only has 6 people in the apartment. A 4-bedroom apartment at Campus View 2 also only has 6 people. It's just the 6-bedroom are all private rooms. The 4-bedroom are 2 shared rooms and 2 private rooms. Hopefully that makes sense. Chancellor and Abbey apartments have 5 people in the apartment. So 3 bedrooms, 2 shared rooms, and 1 private room. Is that $300 a down payment for housing? It's a security deposit. $75 is an application fee, and $225 is a security deposit, meaning I'm serious about living on campus. I'd like a reservation, and we're going to give you a reservation. And then once you move out, we do refund that, assuming there's no unpaid rent, damage, or cleaning charges that you have. You get $225 of the security deposit back. Are the dorms co-ed? The dorms are, so we have male rooms and female rooms. We also have some apartments that are for LGBTQI plus LLC. You would have to select that LLC in order to be in that type of living arrangement. So it's there could be a couple of apartments that are identifying a location where there could be some co-ed based on whether or not they selected for that LGBTQI plus LLC. But if you don't select that, you're going to be in an apartment with the gender that you've designated on your application. How is the security at on-campus housing? So bedroom doors have locks, apartment doors have locks. If you're in a building that has hallways, the front doors and entrances and wings to the building are locked when no one's in the office working. They're locked on the weekends. You need key card access to get in. We have surveillance cameras inside the halls and also on the exterior buildings. The RAs go on rounds every night of the academic year. There are 2 RAs that walk by every door, walk into every community space. They walk in every stairwell twice a night. And then we have university police, and these aren't security guards. They are sworn in officers, police officers for the state of Utah. They go on rounds every night as well. The areas are well lit. Our greatest success at safety and security is compliance with the students. If students aren't propping open doors, if students report anything that seems suspicious, if they notify us, if they notice something not working properly, we address it as quickly as possible, because safety is a very high priority. So I think safety is comparative. In my opinion, I believe St. George in general is a safe area, but crime does happen. I think our campus is a safe area, but crime does happen. If students work together to follow rules and also keep us involved if there's something we don't notice, it helps make the environment as safe as possible. But we have many tools and procedures in place to keep it safe. So it's a community effort and we work together. What dates are we able to move in and out? So for fall semester, the move-in dates will be the Monday through Friday before the first day of classes. First-time freshmen will be asked to move in specific days, usually the Monday or Tuesday before a week before classes start. We will email you in, once we do room assignments, we email you the check-in dates, so you'll have specific dates once you get your room assignment, but it's the week before classes start. And then the move-out date is the week of finals. It is 48 hours after your last spring semester final, or by noon on Saturday after finals, whichever comes first. And we'll give specific dates again once you move in. Do either of the campus view suites have a stove and or oven? So the campus view suites have a kitchenette in the apartment. It looks like a kitchen. It has a microwave, fridge and freezer, counter space, cabinets, but they do not have stoves or ovens inside your actual apartment. But on every floor, there are community kitchens. Every floor of the building has 2 stoves and 2 ovens that you can use and cook. So you can do some basic things in your apartment, but if you're wanting to bake or use the stovetop, you go out your door, down the hall to the community kitchen, and that's where you can cook and bake. And again, there's 1 per floor and 1 kitchen, community kitchen on every floor for both Campus U Suites buildings. What is the move-in date for fall 2023? I just answered that. Are the kitchens and cooking facilities on each floor? And yes, just answered that one. For a student athlete, how would the housing application process change? I already applied before deciding to commit to Utah Tech. So the housing application is not any different if you're an athlete. You'd still apply like a student does. If you're meant to be assigned to a specific bed space that your team has reserved for you, they're going to notify us of who you are and where to put you. So just apply as any other student and you'll end up where you need to be. Moving date for fall, I answered that one. What is the portal to find people for housing? So sorry, I feel like I'm losing my voice. If you go to housing.utah.tech.edu, click apply now, go through the application, there will be a page on the application called roommate groups. And at the bottom corner of that page, it'll say search for roommates or search for a group. That's where you find people to room with. Our first year students house with second year, third, fourth year students. Mostly not, but there are some exceptions. We do have to fill all of our bed spaces in order to pay off our debt for these new buildings. So our algorithm prioritizes first year people to try to match them first, but the number of bed spaces don't work out equally. So there are a few first-time freshmen that will have some second, third, very rarely fourth year students, but the majority of our first-time freshmen are living with all first-time freshmen, but there's a few apartments here or there that will have an older student. Do you offer early move-in days if necessary? Yes, but on a limited basis. It depends on if that specific room is going to be ready on time. There's a cleaning and maintenance schedule going throughout the summer, and it is in coordination with our summer camps and conferences. I would say put in a request, and if we can accommodate it, we will. In some cases, we are able to. In other cases, we can't, just because the room will not be ready in time. If we do accommodate an early move-in, it is $25 a night up until the check-in date. But again, no guarantees if we can accommodate their request, but we do accommodate it if possible. So send in their requests in advance and we'll do our best. Are there elevators in the buildings? Campus View Suites 1 and 2 have elevators in the buildings. Abbey Apartments and Chancellor and University Inn do not have elevators, but they are Chancellor and Chancellor is 3 stories and more like 2 stories because I guess the bottom floor is ground level and Abbey is a 2-story as well. But Campus View Suites 1 and 2 do have elevators. Does the $300 go towards our first rent payment? No, it does not. It's application fee and security deposit. It is refundable after you move out. At least the $225 portion of it, that's the security deposit, is refundable when you move out. Do you have classes to learn English? The university has a, I'm losing it now. It's a program, English as a second language, I believe. It might have a different epithet, but yes, there's a program that assists with that. Not sure if I missed this. Will FAFSA help with housing? Your FAFSA amount can go towards any university fee that you have. It just depends on how big your total student charges are. So you have student tuition, you have student fees, and then if you live on campus, you have housing rent. So if you have that entire balance, I don't know if FAFSA would cover the whole balance, but let's say you put in enough money that covered your tuition and fees, your housing balance remained, and you had FAFSA money. Yes, FAFSA money can be used towards housing. It can be used towards any charge that's on your student account, which would include rent for on-campus housing. Now, for off-campus housing, you would have to have a credit, enough money where you've paid everything that you owe the university. Then you'd have a credit on your student account that you'd be able to have access to that money and then try to use that towards your off-campus housing rent that you'd have. It's a little bit different of a process, but in short, it can be used for any university-related charge that you have. Are there mandatory vacancies where we can't be on the premises on holidays or such? No, that is different for us compared to other universities. Many other universities require students to move out over extended breaks or holidays. We do not. So once you move in, you can stay the duration of the academic term, and you don't need to tell us when you're coming and going. During winter break, we do ask you to notify us if you are leaving and when you're coming back, just so when we go on rounds at night to look for safety and security, we have a better idea of who's staying here and who's not. But yeah, August through your checkout in May, you can stay every day. You don't have to move out. When will room assignments be sent out for fall semester? I think that's been answered, but please put in your question again if you weren't here for that. What is the difference between honors housing and regular housing? So if you apply to be part of the Honors LLC, we are going to pair you with other students who want to live in that LLC, and you would be in Campus View Suites 1. So the difference is you're in a specific building and you'd be living with other people who apply to live in that same special interest group. How much is the difference between price for full and partial meal plans? There are set meal plans, A, B, and C, and they range from $850 a semester up to $1,600. So if you select one of those predetermined meal plans, you're paying a minimum of $850. If you do a partial meal plan, you create the amount that you want. So rather than selecting meal plans A through D, you could just say, I want a $50 meal plan, or I want a $200 meal plan. It's whatever amount you're comfortable with, and dining services will arrange that for you based on whatever meal plan size you feel is appropriate. And if you run out, you can always create a new one. So if you start a $200 meal plan, and then you run out after 2 months, go back to dining and say, I want to recharge this for another $200, and you can do that. Where on the website can we search for roommate groups? I answered that a minute ago. I think you were here. If not, please bring that up again in the chat. Is there an application fee for housing? Yes, a $75 application fee and a $225 security deposit. That deposit's not refundable for cancellations, but it is refundable once you move out, assuming you don't have cleaning or damage charges or rent owed. am I making a reservation for a specific housing complex when I apply, or would I get put somewhere else? When you apply, you list 6 preferences. So if you apply, we hope that you're comfortable in on-campus housing, wherever that may be. So you're more in a sense applying for on-campus housing, but listing the preferences where you would like to live. We give priority on a first come, first served basis. And so when you apply, you mark where you want to live. And eventually when we do room assignments, we click a button and the computer looks at your application date, your preferences, and whether or not you're in a roommate group. And then it just pushes everyone as best as it can, depending on how early you applied. I applied and paid for housing before I decided to commit to cross-country Utah Tech. Does that decision change anything? Do I need anything different in order to room with, be near teammates? Cross-country does not have any specific rooms that they're reserving with on-campus housing. I would check with the coach and see if they have any rooms off campus. Maybe there's an apartment somewhere else. But if you're planning to live on campus, you being on the cross-country team doesn't change anything with your application. Just let things stay where they're at, and we'll get you an assignment when that time comes. Can arrangements be made to stay over spring break, winter break? And so, yes, well, summer. So spring and winter break, that's included in your rent. You can stay, no problem. No extra fees are required. For summer, you would need to apply for summer. We have a summer application, but during the breaks, you're good to go. What is the difference between a private and semi-private room? Good question. A private room, there's only one person in that room. A semi-private, it's a larger room with a partition down the wall. So there's only one door to go into the room, but there's a divider that separates the sides of the room. So it feels like a private room to a degree, other than your side of the room can be accessed if they walk around the wall. So we call it a semi-private, where it feels like a private room, but at the same time, there's another person on the other side of that divider that separates the room in half. Does all meal plan money roll over if not used? Yes, it does, as long as you use it once every 6 months. So at the end of May, a lot of students go home for the summer. When they come back in August, that's only a 3-month break. And so when you come back in August, all that money is still there. They don't absorb anything. So make sure that you're using it once every 6 months, and that money stays good for the duration of your stay at Utah Tech. 2 stoves and 2 ovens would be for how many students on one floor? Approximately, oh, you asked me a hard question. I should know the answer. Approximately 100 students. Not as many people cook and use them as you would think. Maybe I want to ask your feedback. Did many students, when you lived here as an RA, was there much difficulty in using the kitchen areas?
No, they were pretty much always available. The only thing I can think of that was like relatively consistent is like every other Thursday there'd be a D&D group on my floor, and they'd like be using the oven to make pizza. Other than that, the kitchens were pretty much always available. College students, as much as you think you're gonna make your own food and do homemade enchiladas, you really don't. We live off of Top Ramen and yogurt. I don't know. And there's always food on campus and it's free, and that's usually pretty cooked too. So a lot of leftovers. Not too many people are using the ovens.
When I talk to students, thank you, Maylee, for answering that. When I talk to students, most of them say it's fairly open. Once in a while, they bump into somebody. You can always go to the floor below or above. Like if you're ready to cook something and someone's on your floor, I've never heard of someone not finding an opportunity to just go below or above and then to have that one open. But in general, not as many students cook as we thought they would. And that's part of the reason why we did the community kitchens. When we did our focus group, students wanted stoves and ovens in the apartments, but when they said how often they cooked, the average was once a week. And so we thought the community kitchens would reduce our rent rate we'd have to charge, because we'd have fewer appliances we're paying for. Anyways, probably more information than what you want to know. Do you have to move out between semesters and over this? You have to move out. No, you don't have to move out in between fall and spring semesters, but you have to move out summer unless you apply for our summer term. That's a separate application process. I'm planning on attending summer classes as well as their year-round housing options. There's year-round, but it involves 2 different applications. You'd apply for the academic year and also for the summer term as well. Do you know when the first day of classes is for fall? I do not, but I suspect that it will be August 21st. That's not official, but based on the previous calendars, I suspect it'll be August 21st. Don't hold me to that. Just tentatively plan until you get notification. If I'm a first-time freshman, can I be in a roommate group with my friends that are second years? Yes, you can. A roommate group can accept anyone into that group regardless of their class standing. Good question. So with the apartments having chance to be cheaper than living in the dorms, they are cheaper. They were constructed at a time where construction was much cheaper, and so the rent rates are cheaper. The newer buildings are more expensive because they cost more money to build, and we're having to pay them off. But yes, they are cheaper. Do we have to reapply for housing every year? Yes, it does not automatically re-enroll you. So once you apply for 1 year, we will notify you when applications are available for the following year, and you just apply every year if you'd like to come back. When will room assignments be sent out for fall semester 2023? So for our female students, it possibly could happen as early as 2 weeks from now. That's not a guarantee. Just if the applications come quickly enough, it could be that soon. For our male applicants, it's probably at least 2 months out before we do room assignments. If for those that apply later, after room assignments are done, we do start a wait list, and a lot of our students do move off the wait list because some of our applicants' plans change down the road. Do you get a discount when you sign up for any of the 3 meal plans? Yes, any meal plan you create, or sorry, any meal plan you sign up for, whether it's a predetermined meal plan or a custom meal plan, in any and all scenarios, you do save the sales tax. Sorry, can you explain the LLC groups more? Also, does your rent go up if you're in one? The rent does not change for an LLC. LLC stands for Living Learning Community. It's a group of students that have either similar interests that are activity-based, lifestyle-based, or academic focused. And so individuals that maybe want to be that are in the Booth Honors program who want to live together, they join that group, and they know that they're going to be attending the same activities and events as the other people in their apartment. Students that are interested in potentially joining the nursing program, and maybe they want a little bit more face time with nursing faculty or some more, I guess, ins and outs with some of the connections we have there, they're going to apply for that group. So it's more if you're interested in that activity, lifestyle, or academic focus. Rent does not go up. It just changes your experience a little bit as far as the events and activities that are marketed to you or that you're invited to attend. Can I get a refund if you're not placed somewhere you're comfortable living? I'm only interested in CV 1 and 2. You would not get a refund of your deposit. However, if you get your room assignment and it's not in the building that you want, then let us know right away, because once those room assignments are complete, we create also a wait list for room changes. And there's a lot of movement between now and August. A lot of students who don't get their initial choice end up getting their preference if they're just patient waiting between now and August, because we do shift some things around as people change their mind. I think if you've applied for 1 or 2, chances are you can get in. Now, the room type might be difficult. We have limited semi-private rooms. So it may not be the first room preference, but I up to this point, I think most students are able to get into 1 or 2. But if for some reason you don't get in there, let us know as soon as room assignments come out. And I'm sure between now and August, we could get you in. Do all housing units accept summer living? For on-campus housing, no. In the summertime, Campus View Suites 1 and 2 close for summer camps that come on campus, and we need them open because a lot of their activities and events are right here on campus. So in the summer, we open Chancellor, Abbey, and the University Inn for summer housing. What's the fridge size in the rooms? Fridge size in the shared kitchen. So if you are in Chancellor, Abbey, or Campus View 1, the fridges are, I forget what they call these, but the freezer's on top, fridge is on the bottom. It's kind of the old standard size. If you're in Campus View 2, it's a French door style fridge. So it's a little bit bigger, has the 2 French doors with the fridge on top, freezer underneath. I think it's 27 cubic square feet. And the Abbey, Chancellor and Abbey, I think those ones are 19 cubic square feet. There should be a picture, maybe there's not online. It might be on our Facebook. If you look at our Facebook or Instagram pictures, there might be one there. Or you can email us at housing and ask if we have a picture, and we can look one up for you as far as fridge sizes. I'll put out there, students are allowed to bring a mini refrigerator if they would like to. I think it'd be good to first move in, look at your space, if you're willing to wait a day or 2, and then decide if you want a mini refrigerator. See how much of your refrigerator space is being used by your roommates. and where you would put it in your apartment. And if after that moment you want a mini refrigerator, go buy one and bring it in, and you're welcome to do that if you'd like. Am I safe to start applying this weekend, or does it need to be done today or tomorrow? This weekend should be fine. I don't see any issues there. If you get a meal plan but don't end up using it, can you cancel the meal plan? You better, let's have you reach out to dining services. In the past, for students that had a required meal plan, that was not the case. But moving forward, meal plans will not be required. So I'm not certain if they have a refund policy for non-mandatory meal plans. I recommend emailing dining@utahtech.edu and asking them that question. Sorry, I don't have an answer I'm comfortable or confident in giving for that one. I may have missed this, but if we didn't request specific roommates, do you guys just assign housing randomly? Not randomly, but also randomly in a way. So the algorithm that does our room assignments, it will try to pair you with people that are compatible with you, but it depends on how early you apply. If you apply later in the game, it's going to put you where we have an opening. But you don't have to create a roommate group. You don't have to find a roommate, because at the very end of the day, the computer will put you in a space. And if you applied earlier, it's going to match you based on compatibility and room preference. If you apply later, it's going to more or less put you where we have an opening. And then later, if you want a room change, between now and August, we have room changes. And then after you move in, people want room changes then, and we'll accommodate that depending on how many options are available at that time. Are full-size drip coffee makers allowed? I don't know all the names of coffee makers. The only coffee maker that the fire marshal is allowing us to use are Keurig style, those pod style coffee makers. So if a drip style coffee maker is different than the Keurig style, and I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't know all the differences, but the Keurig pod style coffee makers are the only ones the fire marshal allows. If I apply for housing on February 20th, will that be too late to get into the process of finding a roommate group? For female student housing, that would likely be too late in the game to create a roommate group. By that time, it's possible we might have done room assignments and you might be on a waiting list. If you were on a waiting list, I do think you'd still get in student housing. You just have to be patient a little bit. That's assuming the applications continue to come in as quickly as they have been. If this is for a male student, that'd be still enough time to do a roommate group. If that doesn't answer your question, please follow up with an additional question. How can I get this email to me? I guess you can answer that, Maylee. I don't know. Do you email this webinar?
We are recording it. I mean, we can look at emailing it to everyone, or at the end of this, I'll put my email and like housing email. So if you email either housing or me and request it, I'll coordinate with the people who are running the housing email and just make sure that they know that this exists and what people are talking about, and we can get you a recording or try and answer any other questions too. So don't feel like this is the only time you can ask questions. You can email us anytime as well.
Do students have to pay for water bills or electric bill, or do you just pay the rent? For on-campus housing, your rent covers all utilities, all those bills. So you don't have to worry about it. That's part of the convenience of living on campus. If you live in private housing or off-campus housing, you do have to pay utility bills. Each building's different, but for the buildings that the university owns and operates, including University Inn, Chancellor Abbey, your utilities are included. Just pay the rent, and that covers it. Is there a curfew? No. Once you live in on-campus housing, you can come and go as you please. So you could go in and out of your apartment all hours of the day, morning and night. Now, if you're talking about guests or visitors, visitors can be in an apartment up till 2 a.m., considering that they are respecting the rights of other roommates' ability or desire to sleep or study without undue interference. You can have overnight visitors if you fill out a visitor's pass, which requires your roommate's signature and approval as well. So there is a curfew for visitors. However, we don't go and knock on all the doors and look in. It's more in place, so if your roommates have any concerns with the frequency or someone staying over, that we have something to fall back on. Is applying now considered early or late in the game? If you are a female applicant, it is later in the game. If you apply, we should still be able to offer you housing. If you are a male applicant, I'd say it's middle. It's not early, not late, still plenty of time. All right, that's a lot of talking. Do we have more questions?
That was a lot of talking. It looks like we've gone through all of the questions that have been asked. But if anyone has any other questions, kind of last minute, we do have a couple more minutes. In the chat, we're going to go ahead and throw some good information in there. We have the housing email. I'll throw in the website and stuff to housing too, and then my email, so that way people have access to that. So other questions can all be there as well.
Hey, Maylee, we received another question. Where would I find my housing application that I already submitted? I can't recall everything I put down. Go to housing.utahtech.edu, click on apply now, select the housing application. And then from there, there's going to be the room preference page. From there, it'll show you your selection. If you're still having any problems finding anything, please email us, housing@utahtech.edu. While we're waiting for more questions, I help you apply for on-campus housing. We really try our best to provide a good experience. I know there will be some speed bumps for individuals in regards to roommate situations. It just happens every year. So I would encourage you, once you find out who your roommates are, even if you know them in advance, start communicating about what you want to bring, how you feel about the rules and expectations and standards that we have, just to try and get everyone on the same page. The more you talk and converse, the better it is to preemptively come together with a roommate agreement and create some standards that everyone feels good with. So I don't see any other questions. Please put them in the chat if you're still wanting me to answer any questions you have.
I think you just explained everything so well. Nobody has any questions right now.
Well, we're still here for a minute if something comes to mind.
Mhm.
You know, one thing I'll mention, it didn't come up. I'm just trying to go through my mind with some of the concerns we had this year. Electric bikes. Our fire marshal does not allow the batteries of electric bikes to be stored or charged in any of our buildings. And so if you bring an electric bike, you're going to need to, if the battery's on it, you're going to need to lock it up outside. You want to get a good lock for that. You can put the electric bike in one of our bike storage rooms, but that would require you to remove the battery and keep the battery maybe in a car in the parking lot. The problem is these batteries can combust. One example is just a couple of weeks ago in Wisconsin, in an on-campus housing building, a student had a battery in their room. It just started on fire in the room. And so because of that, the fire marshal does not allow them inside the buildings. So it says, are they recommended? I don't recommend it just because you might be worried if it's a very expensive bike outside. If you have a really good lock, one of those, I forget what they're called. They're like a U shape. They have a bar going across they're kind of like this type of shape and they're thick. I think those are better, but electric bikes are expensive. I think they could be targeted. Trying to think if there's anything else with electric bikes to mention. Just be prepared that they would need to be charged outside and batteries cannot be in the building. How much money is refunded to me if I apply for fall housing, but then change my mind? The $300, it's not refundable if you change your mind later. If you follow through with the license agreement term and move out, then $225 is refundable once you move out. Again, contingent on the absence of cleaning fees, damage fees, and that your rent's paid. Is there still an indoor bike locker room in the dorms? Campus View Suites 1 and 2 do have an indoor storage room. It's this year it's been $25 a semester to use. We still have a lot of students that lock up their bikes outside. And so we have stations outside you can lock them in, or also those bike storage rooms as well that are indoors. Once I'm given a roommate assignment, will I be given the contact info of my roommate to get to know them before school starts? You'll be given their you'll be able to message them through the portal, housing portal. So once you know who they are, you from StarRez, you'll go to, sorry, I call it StarRez, it's called the housing portal. When you sign in, you go to your application, go to application status, it'll show you your roommates there. You can send them a message from there. once you message back and forth, you'll be able to get contact information, their social handles, social media handles, and their phone numbers. And so then you can communicate other ways if you'd like. Will you get money back if they don't have openings? Yes, if you applied and let's say it was late and you ended up on a wait list and we did collect a deposit or application fee, we will always refund the full amount if we cannot offer you a bed space. But if you apply early enough to where we can offer a bed space, that's where it's not refundable because you're putting the security deposit down and we're going to reserve a space for you. But if for some reason we couldn't offer you a space, yes, we would refund the $300 in full. Do I have to fill out an application for work study or wait to receive an answer? So if it's a work study application, I don't know the answer, how to apply for that. If you're saying, do I have to fill out an application to live on campus for, maybe it's a confusing question. Do you know, Maylee, or have a better feel for what that
So
might be?
work study has to do more with financial aid. So you would want to work with most likely financial aid to figure out what kind of positions are available to work study. It's kind of one of those things that's a little bit more specific case to case and requires specialized knowledge. It doesn't usually apply directly to housing because the student workers on how that work for housing are typically RAs and more of housing managers or janitors, and that would be kind of a different program.
Okay, thank you, Maylee, for answering. Is a shared room better than a private room? It really depends on, do you want cheaper rent or more expensive rent? And do you mind sharing the room with someone else? It depends on your perspective. Some people like a shared room because they have a roommate and they're more social. They want to be near someone. Others, they want to be by themselves. So it really depends on your preference. So the advantages to a shared room are you have someone in there that you can talk to if you'd like, and it's cheaper. The advantages to a private room would be you're the only one in that room. So it's easier to, I guess, control the space and you have some quiet time if that's what you're really looking for. Are animals allowed in the dorms? Only approved animals are allowed. An approved animal is what the university calls an assistance animal, also known as a therapy or emotional support animal, or a service animal. Now, assistance animals have to go through an approval process through the Disability Resource Center. So service animals and assistance animals, once they go through an approval process, are allowed, but animals in general are not allowed in on-campus housing. How far are the dorms from classes? Seconds away, really close. Just depends on what class you're in. If you're in the McDonald building, you can get there very quickly. If you're down in the Holland, yeah, it could take a minute to walk there, but seconds to minutes away.
All right, it looks like we're just about at time. We went through all those questions. Thank you so much, Seth, for all of your help and answering all of those. It was a great help. I'm sure everybody who's in attendance also feels like you're just such an amazing resource. But in the chat, I have thrown in the housing website where you can find more information regarding housing. I've also put the housing email and their phone number. So if you have any other questions regarding housing, they're experts in their department. So feel free to ask them any questions. I've also thrown my email in there. I'm one of the admissions counselors for Utah Tech. So if you have housing questions, you can definitely ask me. I used to work for housing, so I might be able to answer some of them. If I don't know them, I will just send them over to the housing email so that way they can be answered to the best of our university's ability. But if anyone has any other admissions questions, feel free to reach out to me as well. But I think that's it. We have hit 7 o'clock. Thank you so much for your time, Seth.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was talking quickly just to try to get through all the questions. So if something was not clear, please email. We definitely want to get you the information you're looking for so that you make a decision you're comfortable with and you're excited about. So please reach out if we can give you more information. Thank you, Maylee. It's always a pleasure to help, and it's good to see you again.
Yeah, you as well. Everybody have a great night.